My name is Nick King. I own and operate Precision King. It has two divisions. One, we do the consulting and agronomy side of implementing soil moisture on a grower's farm. The two main things that we offer on the service side is coming to your farm and setting up a pipe plant or a faucet on your furrow irrigated fields, and then implementing soil moisture technology to help you make better decisions on irrigating your crop. So that's what we do in our the consulting side. We are also the developer and manufacturer of soil moisture equipment. We started with soil moisture, which then we soon got to dealing with our growers, and they wanted not only do they want soil moisture, they wanted pivot automation, pump automation, flow meter automation, and if I don't know how many of y'all are rice guys, but we'll be bringing rice water level to the market in 2016. So that's, I know that's real quick, but that's in a nutshell what I do for a living. So mine and Darren's collaboration for this talk is to talk about soil moisture in cotton. I don't know if all of y'all are cotton growers, but in general, cotton is a little different beast. You know, cotton used to be king in Mississippi, and that's what we grew, and that's what we did, and there's a lot of guys that have a lot of experience with irrigating cotton. And then whenever the switch was 10 years ago, we have a lot less cotton, a lot more grain, and we've kind of made the shift from first we started irrigating grain like we did cotton, figured out that didn't work, and then we kind of got in the groove of irrigating grain, and they're just two totally different bears, and that's kind of what we're gonna address. The primary reason for that is root mass and root development. You know, cotton has a wicked taproot. That's all I can say. I mean, you get this deep. So anyway, I'm going to kind of get us started off. The first thing is do you see value in soil moisture technology? The complicated part about soil moisture and implementing it on a grower or with a grower is that there is multiple variables that can affect soil moisture, penetration, what you got, and how to manage it. And there is a learning curve for implementing this on a farm. It's very hard for us to take a unit and say, here you are, grower, here it is in a box, and you go home, put it on your farm, and we've told you in 20 minutes of what it does, and for him to go home and implement that and get the full potential out of it, there is a learning curve. There is a little process, and it takes some experience. Why is this so important though? Because we're at a point where conservation, sustainability, and profitability is high on the list. If you're not interested in those, you need to have your pulse checked. How many of y'all don't want to farm with water in 10 more years? It's even hard to think about farming at the yields that we have to farm at now without water. And let's kind of see if I got the water is a valuable resource that we must use wisely for it to keep going into the future. I want to go to this one because this is the end goal. Who doesn't want the future generations to have water and the farm the way that we farm now? I want this to be passed to my kids just as way as you want for it to be passed to your kids and grandkids. I know I skipped a slide, but you know, this technology is a resource that can help us reduce and conserve water and make these systems sustainable. We've got to be good stewards of this resource. This is the crux of the problem. If you've been to enough meetings, you have seen this page at some point. This is from 2007. Obviously, green is good, red is bad. You know, I'm from Mississippi. I live about right here next to the bluff. We still have pretty good water, but you know, we got a predicted huge cone here in Arkansas. Just saying, has got lots of issues in the future. What does that mean? That means we're already seeing that wells are collapsing, having to pull them and drill them deeper. You're getting less flow out of them. I mean, there's lots of different things. If you're from Mississippi, for some reason, this is just the way how you say this regulation works. For some reason, Mississippi We have a state regulation that tells us how much water we can use, and we kind of anticipate in the future that that level is going to go down. And I mean, if we told you can only use 12 inches of water a year, how would that affect your operation? Across the river, my understanding is that in Louisiana and Arkansas, they don't have the regulation impending on them, or like Mississippi does. So there again, the question is we've got to figure out how to make our water source be sustainable, and future generations can enjoy the same thing. And part of this puzzle is evaluating how much water you have in the field and irrigating off of available water in a field. As opposed, not saying every grower does that, but the typical system is once we get a crop to a certain stage, corn getting close to tasseling, cotton getting close to blooming, beans putting on pods, we start on Monday and we start pumping water till we make the round and we cut them off. And when do we start again?
Monday.
We start on Monday. That's what we do. I'm here to tell you that's going to be a way of the past in the future. So how are we, our solution as an industry, as a research leg of this problem, what are we going to do about that? Soil moisture sensing is a huge part of that. We match that with graphs, water use graphs, and we try to use water when we need it the most, and we water when it says that we're at a level that we need to water. In general, in my business, that means we save 1 to 2 irrigations a year, which usually, it's a substantial amount saved for the grower, plus we're saving water. I'd say this, the biggest challenge is I work with 50, 60, and 70-year-old men that are veteran farmers that have farmed for 20, 30, 40 years. And trying to get a veteran farmer to change his farming philosophy is high. It's hard to do. And it is I'm not going to call it a disruption to routine, but if you're used to starting on Monday and being done on Thursday or Friday, that means if we start on Wednesday or Thursday, are you going to be done through the weekend? It's a big hurdle in my business. Is that a sacrifice that we're going to be willing to make so that we can be sustainable in conservation? That's for you, the grower. Are you willing to change what you're doing to save? If you really did it scheduled, if I could tell you to start on Friday, we might actually save 3 waters. But I try in my business, my personal business, I try to come along beside the grower. We try as best we can, if it's kind of close, to start the first of the week to make labor, all that work out. I try not to go much past Wednesday starting. But I mean, if we truly had the flexibility to tell a guy start on Friday, we probably would save a whole nother irrigation. What's that worth? It is worth money. And there again, we've got to make this system sustainable. This is what this slide points out. Very rarely does a conservation practice and profitability come together. When you usually go to a grower and you say the word conservation, he's thinking, how much is this going to cost me? And I generally don't see as much return out of it as we would like. Usually conservation equates to cost. In this system, this conservation practice will make you money, which is kind of a rarity. Implementing soil moisture sensing and scheduling irrigations, and I mean that's why I'm in business, because I make folks money, equates to profitability. It is going to cost you some money to get in to buy the equipment and get in the business, but it's going to pay you back. And